everybody, and welcome to Your Spiritual Best Friend on Spotify or wherever you guys are listening to the podcast. I am the host, Josh Sanchez, and the purpose of Your Spiritual Best Friend is to connect spirituality, mental health, and astrology all in one, because it's important for everyone to realize that we are all on our own spiritual journey at the end of the day. So the more we open up, the more we are able to connect with each other and grow as a collective society. So sit back and relax and enjoy Your Spiritual Best Friend. All right, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well on this wonderful Thursday evening. This is a special live stream. This is awesome. So it's been a year. So this time last year, I started Your Spiritual Best Friend. And honestly, it's been one heck of a journey from the highs and lows, meeting new people and bringing guests on. It's been great. And I've really grown a lot as a host. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed the podcast so far. So with me, I have two very special guests, two people that play a very big and important part of my life. I have my girlfriend Nimalah and also my best friend, our best friend Kyna. Both of them have helped me so much with discovering my own spirituality, really helped me with connecting through astrology and stuff. So just want to give them a big shout out before they really join us today. And what's going on, guys? You guys can say hello. How are you guys feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good today. And I'm feeling good right now because I'm around two of my best friends.
Definitely. Nimalah, how are you feeling?
Similar, same, pretty sweet. Oh my god.
Well, I know for Nimalah, obviously, if you guys don't know, Nimalah is my girlfriend.
I am.
This is her first podcast, so this is going to be one heck of an experience for everybody.
Yep.
So I think let's start this full conversation off already. We'll start with, what you guys want to start with? Relationships? What are you guys feeling?
I don't know, we talk about a lot at once.
Yeah, we do talk about a lot at once. I guess we can go straight into relationships.
Yes.
All right, I'm down if you guys are down. So if you guys are tuning in, I know Nick just joined on Instagram Live. What's going on, Nick? How you doing, buddy? Let me hit the wave button.
Oh, adorable.
Yeah. So also I forgot to mention, wow, because I'm just going straight freestyling for you guys.
Awesome.
And Ray just commented, you're gonna have a free. No, I'm not freestyling. No. I don't spit bars at all.
No.
I am pretty white as heck when it comes to me trying to rap. I'll be dead before anyone sees me do that.
Not dead.
Just saying. So I know with you guys, a lot of our conversations, this is our first one that's going to be recorded, so we'll see how differently this goes.
Oh God.
We really get in deep, just letting you guys know. It gets pretty deep at times, and we can really get into it. So when it comes to relationships, I think a really good starting question that I have. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to breakups, obviously breakups are a big part of our lifetimes. What is one thing that you guys have learned? It could be from any breakup, someone from high school, someone from college. What is one thing you guys learned from that breakup? And if you guys need time to think, I can always start. I'll start this conversation rolling. Because for me, I've had to learn boundary setting. Nimalah can testify. Obviously, I've grown a lot more in that avenue from the beginning of our relationship to now. But
That's true.
setting boundaries was something that I had to learn from my previous relationship. No disrespect, 2 years.
Damn.
But a lot of running around, a lot of saying yes, even though I did not have the emotional energy. I mean, that's what happens when you date young, but that's something that I've had to learn in my relationship. Mm-hmm. So now that I disclosed, Nimalah, since you are my lover,
Yes, I am.
what is something you have had to learn?
I think I had to learn that you kind of can't worry about what the other person is doing during the breakup. Like, winning the breakup doesn't exist. Really, the only thing that in my mind exists during like a breakup is like what you're learning after. You know what I'm saying?
You taught me that.
Yeah, like you really can't be concerned with the other person at all, because the only thing it does is like deter you from learning what you're going through. Like, it just serves as a distraction.
So why do you think people tend to worry so much about what the other person is doing? Why do you think that? Why do you think people fall into that trap of, I'm worrying about, even though we've broken up, I'm worried about this person, what this person's doing, instead of worrying about what I'm doing? Why do you think people really fall into that trap?
I think because a lot of times there's probably like an unresolved feeling where you're like, oh, like I'm thinking about them because like I want them back. Like I'm worried they're gonna go back to their ex. Like you just have like all these unanswered questions that you want answered so bad, and then that just starts like the overthinking process. But even more so, I think if you're still thinking about your ex, like chances are like there some weird was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably planted a seed or two that made you like continue to think about them after the breakup. You know, I just feel like there's always like an air of like, and I always get worried if like during a breakup, like my friends constantly like talking about their ex. I'm like, oh no, like that just doesn't bode well. I think.
Kyna, how do you feel?
I think one of the biggest things I've learned after a breakup is that people are not to be possessed, they're to be experienced. Like people are not possessions. You just experience them, you know. We're all just humans like passing through this lifetime, and no one is like truly ours. So, you know, after a breakup, a lot of the time we want to have control over everything, like our emotions. We want to have control over how we feel and how the other person feels in a way. And I think like wanting, you know, there's a part of most people that want the other person to be upset, to be pressed over us, to be sad because of our own like human ego. We're like, okay, I'm hurting, I want you to hurt too. I don't want to be alone in my hurt. But you can't control how another person feels. And like true love is like allowing someone to feel totally free and liberated, which means letting them go when it's time to let them go.
And just to add a little bit further, like I know you mentioned towards the end about just like letting them go, and I really like how you visualize like we are like, I like to say like spirits, you know, just experiencing a human experience, and we're just going and we're going through our own journeys and stuff like that too. And we meet people, and some people were meant to last forever. Some people were meant to meet during this specific time period. And instead of trying to fix something that's not gonna get fixed, we got to be able to let go. And that's one of the hardest things to do for a lot of people is letting go. And I know you guys, I know for myself too, we definitely have a lot of friends, family, loved ones, you know, that have struggled with that. So like what's some advice that you would give to somebody that is struggling with that idea of like letting go and trying to really move on? Because it's a lot, especially when you expend so much emotional time, energy. Because I know for me, just like Sharon, because like for me, like if I invest so much time and I put in so much effort for that to go to waste for me, it really like hits me, because it's like, damn, like I've invested so much time, effort.
Like, why is it waste? You know what I'm saying? I think that this is also a thing with breakups too, though, is that like we look at it like if it doesn't last forever, oh, it's a waste of time. But like relationships, we've said, like all you do in a relationship is constantly learn, relearn, unlearn. Like it's a constant, continual process. So I think that like when something ends, like it's not a waste of time as much as it is just like, in my mind, it's almost like you're almost like regaining that time back, because you now like you're not gonna spend any more time learning that lesson. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think like karmic relationships exist for us in this lifetime, is because like we have to learn. That way we don't have to keep relearning. And I think that's why like I feel like people have to learn certain lessons in a relationship, and then when they don't learn, their next relationship literally just gets worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just keep learning. Like, I think the universe is constantly just like, okay, you didn't learn? Okay, we're gonna go again. Okay, you didn't learn? Okay, we're gonna go again. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, like, the only thing you're gonna do is continue the cycle of, like, whatever is going wrong in your relationship.
Yeah, just to add, just from like a visual, I visualize. I know you guys are very big into tarot cards. Obviously, you guys have have done some powerful tarot card readings for me. I just picture this fool's journey, because in the very beginning, we are a fool, and then once we learn the skills and what we learn in our relationships, then we become the magician. And what happens is we need to be able to experience these new things, you know, and grow and evolve to a new person. But what happens is if we don't learn from that, and like you said, Nimalah, we go back into another relationship, we're just a fool reliving that cycle of like, the universe is going to keep throwing this at you until you learn. Like, you're going to continue to meet the same people and have the same problems in your relationships until you eventually have to actually like learn and grow from that. So that's how I visualize it, just like the fool's journey of just like the repeated cycle. You're gonna meet this person, you're gonna meet this person,
right?
And unless you do the emotional work, it's going to be the same exact thing.
Right.
Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because I know I can.
Yeah, 100%.
I also think too that like love doesn't have really a set endpoint. It doesn't move like in a linear fashion. Like love is just energy, and it's not, you know, law of conservation of energy. It can't be created or destroyed. It's only like transferred and transformed into different points. And so, you know, the love you give someone in a relationship, you could spend say 3 years loving someone and putting an effort into someone, but at the end of the day, it's not wasted because you spent 3 years loving and being better at love. And love is not something you just feel, it's something you do. And when you do something over and over and over again, you become very good at it. And when you put it, it's like, I view loving as like a skill. Like, how good can I love you? In what different ways can I love you? And how well am I getting to know you so that I can love you in a way where you feel very satisfied, very happy, very free. And so, you know, the time you spend with someone is like sharpening that skill. So Nimalah made a really good point where she's viewing it from you're actually gaining time, because if you were to say stay in an unhealthy relationship, you're wasting more time because you're not learning a lesson.
Right. I remember my dad gave my friend this advice when she was going through like a really poor relationship, where he was like, if it hasn't gotten better in the 8 years, what makes you think it's gonna get better next year? You know what I'm saying? Which is definitely advice, like, disrespectful. People that have met me or know my family, like, that's definitely my dad's type of advice, you know? So it's like a very, like, I think that is kind of like how you have to look at it sometimes, where you're like, okay, like, if I put in this effort for this long and we are not learning, right? We're not growing, we're not transforming. In fact, we're staying stagnant, maybe even becoming worse. Or, like, in this relationship, chances are, like, if I don't understand, this is a cycle that's just going to continue. And then you have to unlearn all of that time by yourself or in your next relationship, which is truly, like, probably one of the worst things you can project onto a future partner, right? Is not doing the work to unlearn what happened in your past relationship. You know what I'm saying?
We've all met those people. We have all met those people who have carried baggage from the last relationship.
Oh my God.
We've all met the people that were like, oh, I'm like this because I got cheated on in high school. Are you kidding me?
You are 25.
You're 25. You pay your electric bill.
Right. You have a car payment, bro.
Like, also, like, welcome to the club. Me too.
Right.
It's just like, that's not. There are explanations for behavior, but there's not justifications for it.
100%.
You can explain behavior without justifying your actions. Like, we've all done things because of the things we've been through. We've all reacted, you know, irrationally, but you really have to utilize your time, because if not, you project it onto everyone else.
And I think that's the problem too, is when people, like, now when they're like, oh, I'm out of a relationship, like, I'm back on the grind. It's like, are you in therapy though? Like, I want you to have your priorities together.
It's always,
you know
the grind is always like the gym and work too. Like, you see like a man break up with someone and they could be like deeply heartbroken,
right?
And they'll be posting out like, back on the grind, back out, like, on
back
the
in the gym,
right?
Like,
And I'm like, you're literally just lifting weights.
Like, I know you cried before you got
right.
into the car.
Like, all you're doing is moving heavy objects.
Right.
That's all you're doing.
Right. I need you in therapy.
Right.
Also, that's a red flag. If I ever, like, talk to, like, somebody about therapy and they're like, no, why? I'm immediately, like, done. I don't know. Something in my head, I'm like, we're not going to grow together, you know?
Because it shows a closed mind. I think, to me, that necessary. Like, I don't think therapy is for everyone. I think that therapy is for people who are at a point of self-awareness where they can be completely honest with themselves and someone else. Because in order for therapy to be effective, you really do have to be completely honest with yourself and your therapist. And that means you have to trust yourself and trust a stranger that you just met. But I think a lot of times, you know, especially in like within the cultural context, therapy might not be the only effective form of like trauma treatment, for example.
100%.
There's so many other forms of treatment. But if I'm talking to you and therapy comes up, or really other methods of healing, and you just shut that down and you're just like, I don't need that, to me, your mind is already closed off, and that's a turn off to me, because you're not even entertaining. You don't have the curiosity about it. You don't even want to know more because you think that you know enough, but you don't.
Like if I'm like, oh, I meditate, and immediately you're like, why? Or like you look at me weird, in my head I'm like, you must have anxiety. Like, you know, like, 'cause I feel like at this point, like there's so many resources to figure out ways to like better yourself. Like, part of me is like very grateful that I grew up in like the social media age, just because like how much knowledge there is now about anxiety, depression, PTSD, like bipolar disorder, like so many things, right? Like we are given so much information now that like 10 years ago no one was talking about because of the stigma. So I feel like at this point, if you're still willing to carry the stigma to make yourself look like better or more like appealing, I feel like it just strikes me as like disingenuous.
Definitely. I mean, just because I know you guys have said a lot, so I'm processing everything. So I know when it comes to emotional growth, that's something, and having an open mind. These are two things that are a must in all of our partners, future partners, even friendships, and even like professional
friendships,
even like close friendships too, because we all need to be able to grow together. And if you don't have an open mind and you're very closed-minded, because I mean, that's just not how life works. Life is gray. Like, there's going to be days where things are just going to be all over the place. There's going to be days where you might experience something completely new than how you're normally living. Like for instance, like, I mean, I love it, but like I went to Philly with my friend John. My friend John lives in Philly.
Shout out John.
Shout out John. Hopefully he'll tune in. But like I went into Philly, I took the SEPTA for the first time. Like, you know, like it was just a brand new experience for me, because for me, I grew up, you know, we usually have a car around here in Delaware. We drive everywhere. Whereas like if you live in the city, you're taking public transportation. You need to know if you're on the right route. You need to know all this. So keeping that open mind is so important there. Whereas like there's some people, if they have a closed mind, they're just like, well, I hate this. I don't want to do that.
You might be adding me a little
I'm not adding you.
I'm going to bring it up.
I'm not adding
we
you.
were recently in Philly, and I don't like. Okay, yeah. No, I'm just gonna say I don't like public transportation. I am now very spoiled. I live in Delaware. Everything is 15-20 minutes away by car.
I know what
fantastic.
Your sister would say to that.
Firstly, my sister would be like, my sister has never been on public transportation. If you have something to say, you can ride the train first. Okay, you don't know what it's like.
I love public transportation.
But also the SEPTA compared to like the metro, it's just like very different. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? There's just too much stimulation on the train for me.
I use public transportation as just an example of we need to be able to keep an open mind on things, because everyone is living their life completely different. The way how you live your life is not always 100%, you know, like how everybody else is living, if you get what I'm saying. So that's why keeping an open mind, keeping that new idea of learning new perspectives is something in a partner that is a must. Because if you're with closed-minded people that are very stern and firm with their beliefs, you know, like that's just not how life operates. Like life is gray. You're always going to meet somebody that has experienced something that's going to question the things that you believe in. Yeah. And it's important to keep an open mind during that. Now, some of the things, you know, might be extreme, you know, I'm just saying generally speaking. Like I've learned a lot through my relationship with you, Nimalah. You've definitely opened my mind a lot. You know what I mean?
That was a big one. Good
yes.
Food. Yeah.
So a couple people in the comments. So Becca first says, hello, Nimalah.
Hi, beautiful.
So
hello.
I know. All they see is my face here. Would you? I can switch, and you guys want to say hi real quick to everybody? Just say hello. It's a little dark here.
We were told that the camera was a maybe.
Yeah, I did. So that's why it was quick. That's why I did it quick. I just said it was gonna be my face, but that's everybody else who's recording.
I'm screaming.
Amber, I do have some Sagittarius in my chart, so that is a very true fact. She was like, okay, keep talking, Mr. Sagittarius.
100%.
So yeah, I do have some Sag in my chart. But we have to keep an open mind though.
It's true, we definitely do. But also, like, I don't say like no, but I also think like part of what I think is really hard about keeping an open mind is not having expectations for new experiences. Because I feel like as someone that has really high expectations and is like constantly like dealing with that, I feel like it's really hard to go into new experiences sometimes and kind of like keep a level head. Where like, okay, this is not going to be the best thing in the world and it may not be the worst thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? So like kind of having to unlearn that like having high expectations all the time isn't great because it's just not realistic.
Right.
And it just leads to either like really weird disappointment or like a really like short-lived high, you know?
I also think too that a lot of the most rigid people I know are very traumatized because I think there are multiple ways of reacting to trauma and responding to it, right? That
100%.
looks totally different. Some people are very impulsive and they constantly are craving a high, something new. But then there are people who they really fear new experiences because they just expect disappointment every time. People who have been let down like over and over again, people who are very distrusting because they grew up having people break their trust over and over again, or their life was always so chaotic, so unstable that they just crave stability and almost a mundane routine. So I think that, some people just really fear the fluidity of a new experience. Like I've learned to embrace the fluidity of it because, even if I expect things, I always prepare for the worst, but kind of expect, I don't know. Like I'm a very we'll see type of person. And I think that really does help keep my mind open. I'm like, we'll see, but I'm still going to prepare for the worst because in any worst case scenario, what could happen and what am I going to do if it happens? Because it's very, very much possible. And I don't like going into situations unprepared and blind and also overly cocky as in like, oh, this is not gonna happen, and then when it happens I look like Boo Boo the fool.
Yeah, I'm definitely never gonna say, oh, it's not gonna happen, because now you've cursed it's too yourself. Late now. Like it's definitely gonna happen,
right? But the fluidity of things is important because life moves in these like circular motions where we try new things and then things end, and then we try other things and things end, and like it's a beginning and ending and beginning and ending. So
part of me almost like said that like an inner child type of thing, because kids are so quick to like want to do something really spontaneous, really fun, you know what I'm saying? I think growing up and like having to meet adults so quickly, I stopped doing that. You know what I'm saying? So now that I'm older and I'm like trying to get back to that, I'm now so quick to be like, okay, let's go just get dessert. Okay, let's go shopping. Like, okay, let's go for a walk. Like, let's do something like, I don't know, like let's read a book. Like, weird small things that I think kind of feed into not only like breaking like mundane adult life, which is very hard and very difficult at times, but also going back to things that like feed you in moments where you're like, okay, I didn't realize that was actually like feeding me or helping me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And almost like even like calling friends, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to bother them. Like, I don't want to call them. Like, no, I'm going to call you now. Like, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I want to hear your voice. I miss your face. Like, I want to talk to you.
I'll leave a voicemail.
Oh my God.
You know me.
The amount of voicemails I have from friends in my phone is atrocious. Like, people are like, I'm at the grocery store. You want to go shopping? I'm like, okay. Like, I'm glad that we're all on the way.
You hear that? She's admitting that she is unreachable.
I can definitely be unreachable. I don't know what that's about. It's in my chart. I don't know. Geminis.
Literally, completely unreachable. Geminis. That's it.
Unreachable and horrible. It's true. I can't help it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like just thinking like, especially like as we get older, like when we do adult, we do lose that inner child where it's like being spontaneous. it's hard because all it takes is meeting someone and then they end up, you have these expectations for them and then they end up not reaching those expectations and then you end up crashing and then you're like, I don't no, I'm just saying no because
that's true though.
No, because that's all it takes. Like
in case anyone was wondering, Kyna's totally adding me right now.
I'm like, what do you mean you didn't fulfill the fantasy that I created in my head? You motherfucking bitch. How dare you not live up to my idealizations of you?
That shit is crazy. Right.
Oh, man. No, it's just like, it just shows you, like, it shows you how all it takes is one person or one caregiver to really impact your life, but it can also be in reverse. All it takes is that one person to take all your energy away and make you and stunt your growth or to like really just like hurt you in any way or manipulate you, all that.
Yeah. I don't know what I was
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what I was experiencing or doing. Maybe I like, you know when you just like remember things but you don't remember what they're from. I literally remember somebody saying like, it is insane the effect that one person can have on you. Like it is absolutely like almost like inconceivable in a way because like you never really think that like when you meet someone you're like, oh no, like my entire life is going to change because of this one moment in time where like I made this one split decision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then like you can look back at your time right now and think of like one person where you're like, no, like that event changed how I view like relationships, intimacy, I don't even know, like maintenance, like so many things. And it kind of like, I think having so many experiences like that now at this age has almost allowed me to like be so much more careful with how I interact with people. Where like now whenever I walk away from an interaction, I'll be like, okay, like this is like almost like a peaceful thing. Like I try to almost be like as grounded as possible based on like just seeing interactions like that and experiencing interactions like that.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. I just want to give you guys a very special announcement. So starting in the beginning of September, I will be doing astrology chart readings for anybody that is interested in learning a little bit more about themselves and their natal chart. I am not someone that is going to predict the future, but I am someone that is going to give you guidance and really help you process yourself in the present moment, whatever challenges or blocks that you face. But you can click on the link in the show description to schedule a one-on-one meeting with me where you get your chart read, where it's going to be a very safe space for you guys to open up and share your own journeys, your own anxieties, fears, and I hope that we can both learn something from each other along the way. I do have a confidentiality agreement that everyone must sign and follow, and prices will vary depending on the income in which you guys make. I am someone that is very flexible and knows that we all have certain situations in life that can impact us financially, emotionally, anything pretty much. But it really is just a safe space for everyone to connect, grow, and learn some things about themselves. So again, you can check out that link to schedule a one-on-one call with me, Josh Sanchez, host of Your Spiritual Best Friend, and I hope to see everybody soon and to help you along the way on your own spiritual journey. So like my question now, as I was just hearing you just think, is we talked about the like how wild it is that all it takes is one person to impact our lives so much, you know. So like we can't take that so lightly. So like my question is more just towards like how can we like find people that we do want to find, if you get what I'm saying, like find like those expectations. I know setting boundaries is a part of it, but like how do we find the people, you know, instead of I like to call these people like emotional vampires. So they're people that take your emotional energy. How do we realize, or how do we like remove ourselves from those type of people to people that are actually really there to really help us grow, if you get what I'm saying? It's a very deep and thought-provoking question.
Checks.
Vibe
checks.
Right.
If that's all you need, right?
Yeah, I think it's about trusting yourself. Like when you're unhealed. Your intuition is more wary. You don't trust yourself, and you're more likely to let in people and ignore red flags about them. When you're at a point in your life where you're very insecure or you have a lot of unhealed trauma that you have not yet processed, it's a lot easier to let in people who do not have the best intentions. But in that period of growth, I feel like when you develop a good relationship with yourself and you're like, okay, I trust me to make the best decisions about who I'm around. Personally, I think people naturally gravitate towards you. Like, I didn't do anything to have the friends I do in my life, and I do have like a very good amount of amazing friends. I mean, people who, you know, I can call them up at any moment. They're in a different state and they would answer or call me back.
100%.
And I think that's about, you know, just being aligned and kind of understanding who you are and what you want. So when someone comes up to you and someone meets you, you can automatically be like, oh, you don't align with my values. You can't give me what, and now I feel like at this point in my life, I'm very quick to make that judgment. I mean, I'm so quick to be like, within like 5 minutes of meeting someone, I can be like, nah, we're gonna stay acquaintances, or okay, I want to get to know you, which means I'm gonna invest a little more time into you.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I definitely think that there's like I don't even know, like an innate feeling now.
Intuition.
I think honestly within like you said, like the 5 minutes where I'm like, oh, you know if I like you or not. Honestly, like after one interaction, like I have a very clear like, okay, like I think I know we're gonna fall in like my tier list of like
the tiers.
You know what I'm saying? Because like I have a very coveted spot at the top, and then you're kind of just like somewhere else in the pyramid, you know?
Yeah.
In friendships, but I don't necessarily think that like that's a bad thing, you know?
No, I don't either. I think there are tiers and levels to connection. I think there are levels to everything, and connection is one of them. Like, we have friends who were like, okay, you're like my best friend. Like, you've seen the worst of me, you know? Like, I could literally tell you I did something horrific or just embarrassing.
Right.
And you know, I wouldn't feel some type of way about it, and neither would you. We'd probably laugh about it the next day.
100%, yeah.
And then we have best friends who, you know, maybe we can talk about some things with them, but not other things with them, depending on who they are and how emotionally like literate they are.
Right.
And again, people are on their different journeys. They're on their own journeys. So like, even if we love someone very dearly, they might not be that type of friend who we can go to for everything, because they might not, you know, be able to respond in a way that we need that's effective for us. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to fall into like different categories of friendships. But yeah, that 5 minutes, you can just, I don't know, I feel like you can just pick up on it. It's like in their eyes too.
Not the eyes.
My mom always told me you can tell who a person is based on their face and their eyes. And I swear to God, like, you can always tell, like,
bro, we have the
who
same
a person is.
Yeah, we have the same in my family where it's like, oh, they have dead eyes, which is kind of like you don't have like emotional, like
expressive,
right, emotional, or even like glinty eyes. I don't know how to explain it. Where like they're not, almost like not like lively.
Right.
Where it's just like they don't really change like with your face. Or it's like you can smile, but it's not reaching your eyes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's so strange to me.
Right, which for me is kind of like, I don't want to say, I don't want to be like, oh, that's a red flag if your eyes are dead, my bad. But like, it's definitely something I look for, where I'm like,
I'll even add a little bit more. Some people have crazy eyes.
Crazy eyes is real.
Yeah.
They have a distinct look where it's like, oh yeah, I think you are crazy as hell.
Yeah, you're crazy as fuck. And some people, like, they can, you know, alternate between the two. Such as who is on my left.
That's me, Nimalah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I can turn on and off my crazy eyes, but it's not crazy, like, it's the crazy eyes where I'm like, okay, you fucked up bad enough to where you better pray your car is working in the morning.
Your Scorpio ass.
No, for real. No, I'm like, and they'll know too. Like, they'll see. I'm just like, oh, please, no Scorpio slander is allowed.
No, it's allowed. It's like relevant.
We just love hard. That's all.
And toxic. It's horrible. It's horrible. All my Scorpio besties, of which I've realized I have
so many.
So many. It is like one of.
Are you sore from riding our dick?
It's hard. Like, my legs hurt. My knees are giving out. I gotta go.
She needs an
so
ice
graphic. Jesus. I just want to give a couple people in the chat a shout out. So this one guy, he's a big follower. He's done a couple of my live streams. His name is Big Chief, so that's his username.
Hello, Big Chief.
Hello.
But I just want to give him a little shout out. He mentioned, because for him, he's very big on empathy. Empathy is something that it's definitely an important trait that everyone should learn to develop. Being able to understand and relate to other people's perspectives. That's sort of like keeping an open mind.
Yeah.
Compassion also falls into it.
Yes.
He described it, he's like, being someone that has a lot of empathy, it's like we're batteries, and there's people and we need to really be smart with the people that we choose to give our energy to.
So you gotta be a light switch. Being a battery is hard.
Yeah, it's like being that light switch.
You gotta turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So Big Chief, I just want to give you a shout out. I have a question for you though, and I'll let you type in the chat. What led you to that username that you got? That's a whole side topic. I'll let you think about that. This conversation's all about vibes again, because this is what the podcast is about. It's been a year. It's been a year journey, highs, lows, meeting new people, interviewing people,
right,
networking, putting stuff out there, and got to give you two the big credit. Yeah. But we have talked a lot about relationships, talked a lot about just like our energies as well, keeping an open mind, a lot of just insightful stuff. I know you guys mentioned before, I know Kyna had to run and cough a little bit. I'm going to just for jokes and giggles, because we're having fun. We're having fun. This is just a chill conversation. That's all it is.
Kills me every time.
Of course. Stop! I'm blushing. Just kidding. No. Oh man. So like, I'm just thinking to myself, because I know we started this topic with like things we've learned in our relationships, What's like some advice? Like, do you guys have like any advice that you guys would be willing to give? Let's say someone is trying to pursue a relationship, or even trying to just like find themselves in a relationship. Like, what's some advice that you would really give to them? Let's say they just met somebody, they're on the beginning stages of dating, or like they're sort of a situationship, but they want to pursue dating. Like, how would you handle that approach, if you get what I'm saying? So it's like you're in a situationship right now, and you want to take it to the next level. Okay. What's like the first step that you would really do to help?
Be direct.
Yeah, be direct
as possible. I feel like so much shit happens because like people are always like trying to be aloof or like give people signs. Like, no one has time for that. Like, you want more, you're gonna need to open your mouth. Like, what is it? Closed mouths don't get fed, right? Like, that's just what it is. Also, like, over communication is better than under communication. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have been feeling this way for a while, you need to give voice to that. Because at the end of the day, if you're not giving yourself, like, the voice to speak, neither is the person that you're trying to pursue. You know what I'm saying? Right. If you're not giving yourself that grace, they're not going to give it to you either.
I also feel like, to be honest, I think a good majority, like, more people than we would like to admit in their 20s should not be fucking dating.
No one should be dating.
They should not be trying to pursue relationships. I know so many women who are just struggling with so much internally, and they're, they're talking to all these people, and they're giving so much energy here and so much energy there.
Cut that shit out.
And I'm like, it's not worth it, because you have to ask yourself, like, do I even like this person? Because we spend so much time asking ourselves if someone else likes us. Are they attracted to us? Do they like us? Do they love us? But we really fail to check in on ourselves. And I feel like more people would benefit from being like, how does this person make me feel? Am I attracted to this person? Do I like them? Do I want to spend a lot of time with them? Right. Can I see a future with them? Like, do they have a future that it lines up with mine? If we just ask ourselves more of those questions and answer them very honestly, a lot of us would not be pursuing these situationships.
That's what I'm saying. You have to be so direct, and that's not even with other person as much as it's with yourself. Right. Honestly, if you're bored and that's why you're dating, stop dating. It's not worth it. that is a waste of time.
Right.
Because something in you is not getting fed.
Right.
And then you're looking to other people to feed that, which in it of itself is such a dangerous cycle. Like Kyna said, there are so many like young women and also young men, young theys, thems, who will pursue relationships in hopes that it will like fix them, find them, give them all this healing stuff. But that's only going to give you like, in truth, probably like 15% of the full 100 thing that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's like a quick fix. It's sort of like how like some people will hand medicines like, oh, this is gonna be a quick fix,
like
but unless you do the emotional work for yourself, you're not gonna get filled. It's just a quick short-term solution, which makes sense as to why a lot of relationships, they might start off with that flair and passion in the very beginning, but the ones that last are the ones that constantly are putting in work and are constantly putting in work for themselves to grow and evolve. So then that way, like they're taking the next steps instead of repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again, because nobody likes that. nobody likes having the same conversations over and over and over again. It's like, oh, like are you actually listening to what I'm saying? Are you actually like putting in the work to do what I like that you're supposed to be doing? And that's why like people get tired of that, and they're like, you know what, it's time. So that's why like just like I agree, especially in your 20s, for some people they want to find that connection and they want to find that love, but that's their perspective on things,
like, the people who get married right now, like, I don't know how y'all do it. Like, I genuinely could not imagine. Like, either like you are so secure, like I aim to be there, or you are literally like, you're like, it was not a good idea. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like there's an in-between stage. But also, I think I say that as a child of like young parents who like got married too young, tried to settle down, like did the whole thing, but then like did not put in the emotional work they were supposed to until they were like much older. You know what I'm saying?
So I think my next question is, so like, let's say we are in relationships, you know, how can your partner show you that they are putting in the emotional work? Obviously through direct communication is one, but like, what are some ways, just like some general ways?
Oh my God, pay attention to their damn love languages. Like, I don't know how many women are like, you know what I love? Flowers. And then they never get them. It makes no sense to me. And I'm talking that's facts. I'm talking like women where it's just like, girl, if I was dating you, you get flowers every fucking week. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, girls who are like,
your man would be gone. Your man would be gone. The second I step foot in the picture, your man's gone.
Listen, I will show you the best time
of your life. Listen, oh my God, the planning I put into taking girls out, like the planning, the detail, the little things.
Kyna's a
I'm talking my shit right now. Like, the detail I put into these, like, women, like, your man is gone. Like,
listen, like, literally, like, it's that simple. Like, I think we did that quiz once, and I think it was such a good idea because like, it gave me a much better insight.
What was the quiz? Just so you can, people can check it out.
It was like, what are my what are my love languages, right? So there's five love languages. It's physical touch, gift giving, acts of service,
words of affirmation,
and quality time, right? And a lot of the time, like, I didn't realize how much like words of affirmation meant to me until my friend Bree, shout out Bree, who I love dearly and I hope you're doing well, literally like laughed at me when I started that, and she was like, Nimalah, you're literally a poet, like, why wouldn't words matter to you? And I was like, you know what, that's fucking crazy that you said that, because you're absolutely right. And since like I communicated that to Josh, like, I think it did so much for our like relationship and our growth, because like, whereas I need words, he needs like time and physical touch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I also feel like too, I think every person needs all five. Like, I require all five. I deserve all five. But I feel like people need to ask for all five. But with the love languages, the concept of love languages is more so like, okay, this is how I give it best, right? And this is how I receive it best. Like, this is when I'm most open to receiving. Like, for example, like acts of service. I love like helping people out with things. Like if I can make your life easier, I love that. Like helping someone edit an essay, helping someone just with small things, and words of affirmation too. Like I give those two, I would say, best. Like I'm most skilled in giving those two. But how I receive love is in a different way. But I still need all 5. Like, yeah, I want a gift sometimes. I do.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Just to clarify on the quiz, it gives you it in like percentages,
right?
Yeah,
percentages.
So it's almost like a ranking, right? From like 1 to 5. So I definitely agree. I do think people need like all love languages. And I think it's important that we understand that people can receive in all 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you should be too, like, understanding like your partner and really paying attention to their details. You really have to kind of sync yourself up to them and understand them on such a deep level that you know how they want to be loved and in different moments, because you know, we don't all want to be loved the same way every single day.
Oh my God, how boring does that sound? I get a gift every day. Like it loses its magic after a while.
Right. You have to, and I think too, circling back to what you said about words of affirmation, I was speaking about this to one of my best friends, Eric, whom I love.
What a handsome man, shout out Eric.
I was talking about how like 95% of people are absolutely shit with words. And we have like, and that's something that is a gift, because I think most people, like, most of the time when I tell my friends like how much they mean to me, and I'm a very expressive person verbally, I'll be like, I love you so much, you mean so much to me, you did it, and I'll explain like why, and I'll bring up, they will not know how to react. They'll be like, oh, like, thank you, and I know they love me, I know they're receiving it, but they just do not know how to express it through words.
100%.
And one of the things I've learned over time is like, we have to give love words. Like love requires words. Words are magic. Like they can transform things. Like they can move energies. They can transform energies. Like words are so essential. Like they are the backbone to so many things. And if we don't give love words, like how do we know what that sounds like? How can we like really shape it? Because we have to understand and communicate how love is, because how will we know how to differentiate between someone who's not being very loving towards someone who is, you know?
It also causes like so many issues and like almost like overthinking thoughts, right? When like, cause like I love Josh very much, he loves me very much, but like what if all of a sudden we just stop saying that to each other? Like the doubt that could like potentially come into your mind, plague it, like almost like fester, is a dangerous type, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And also too, like think of households where like people are never like told I love you, right? How many issues that causes in like future relationships, right? Because like I know for me, like we were very big on like action, right? Like it was very much like I love you, I cook, I love you, I pay bills, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
my house.
Which in truth are very basic needs, okay?
Literally
the bare minimum, needs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
However, like to not know or to not hear like I love you like often made it very strange to me when people started saying it, right? Made it very like hard for me almost to receive it, and therefore very hard to give it.
Yeah.
Right? And as someone who like had not entered into like many like romantic relationships, that made it really difficult for me to almost like trust those words. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like to almost take the words at face value and be like, okay, like I actually like can accept this for what it is.
And I feel like too, like there is nothing wrong in wanting words of affirmation. I've met the majority of people I've met who are like allergic to this, to be honest, are men. Like men are the quickest ones to be like, I don't need you to validate me. I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear this. And I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. I'm like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And why are you talking about it like there's something wrong with it? Because that shows that you just have a closed mind, and you really should be open to receiving all types of love. You should be happy to receive that form of love, and you should be happy that it's coming from me. God damn, like count your blessings. But like I think that it's very important to really be able to express that, because if not, there's like that gap, like there's a hole almost.
There's always like a question, right? Where you're like, well, I've never heard them say it, right? Which is why like almost when you're talking to your friends where you guys are like, oh, like have you said it yet? Like what if that day just never came? Like the amount of doubt that would cast onto the relationship.
And you can't assume too that like someone loves you. Like someone will be like, okay, well, I show it. And I'm like, okay, but
if you don't say it, hold on.
Exactly. Then I can't really align like what love is with your actions because I don't know. And another thing too is like, a lot of times I do this, but when people tell me they love me, like sometimes I'll be like, why? And a lot of people will not know how to answer that.
I wish you might ask me that question.
I know.
Oh my, she has never done that to me, folks. Lord.
But sometimes, like, if someone asked me why I love them, I could list, like, I could tell them exactly.
Reasons.
And I know that that's how my head works and my heart works, but I have trouble sometimes because I'm like, okay, other people don't operate in the same way, but like, I want to know like why you love me and what that looks like. Like, I just want to know why. Like, I want to know the details, but some people just aren't good with words, and you have to be patient with them too.
100%.
Yeah, I also think it's a couple of things as to why.
It's like, hold on.
No. I also think it's there's a couple things as to why people are not so good with words. I interviewed a communications expert a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and one of it is mindset, like how we view communication and improving our communication. We view it like it's a chore.
Some people just genuinely don't think it's a priority.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's
so like
really yeah.
So like that's one of the reasons. And another reason is definitely trauma related and how we're raised. Nimalah, I just first want to say I appreciate you being so open and vulnerable to share that, because you mentioned how like you grew up in a household there was a lot of like love through action, but when it came to words there was not a lot of words that were being spoken. And I think that's how a lot of people that do struggle with communication, that do struggle with being able to express themselves and answer those questions as to like I love you, but then like Kyna or somebody will say why and there's no answer to that. Is a lot of trauma related in how we're raised. And I know for a lot of the majority of men, if you really look at it logically, they're raised like psychos. Where you have like you're taught to suppress your emotions. It can be as small as you fall and stub your toe. Your parents are looking at you like, why are you crying? Stop complaining. It's those little actions that build and build and build, and then that's what creates that struggle of being vulnerable to express your emotions. Of course. So once that is acknowledged, obviously some people live their whole lives with that closed-mindedness where it's like, this is how I was raised. I'm not going to work on my words, but learning to go into to work on expressing your trauma, learning how to express your words, communicate your words, and not view communication as a chore. Because I know for me, especially in the beginning of our relationship, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to lie. Like,
you don't, not in front of me.
Oh, never.
Right.
Never. I'll say this right now. One of our biggest pet peeves me and Nimalah have talked about is lying. So that's something that's a no-go.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, lying by omission is still a lie. Yes. You not telling somebody something in fear of hurting their feelings or in fear of causing pain is still a lie. Continue, Josh. Thank you.
So in the beginning of our relationships, because I go from someone, I'm very action based, so like I'll show you my love through action. So then to immediately date someone that is so quick on words, there definitely was a learning period, because initially I did view it as like a chore where it's like, like I have to communicate this, and this, but why can't I just show it through flowers or through, but obviously Nimalah has made a lot of great points as to why those words with those actions hold a deeper meaning, so that way there's no confusion with what is going on. But I think a lot of that is I think a lot of that is though that mindset. Obviously a lot of it is trauma, but it's also that mindset that we view communication. That's fine, you're cool. We view communication as a chore, as something tedious, where it's like, oh, I have to communicate. And if we work on, and we can change that mindset by just doing a simple 5 minutes a day, ask yourself a question. And like, how would you answer that? So if someone asked me, do you love me, or why do you love me? That can be an answer of the day. So if someone were to say that to me, why do you love me? What would my response be? Nimalah, if you ever said why to me, I would say I love you because of the energy that you present. When you come into my apartment or you come into my space, it just brings this vibrant energy that I need, because for me, I do a lot of work alone. So like this podcast I usually do, I'm connecting with people, but I'm recording alone. There's not people in the space. So even in days where you come in and you're like, oh, I worked 9 hours, F my boss, F my job, make me a tea.
The demand.
There is no demand.
But even though I hear that, I appreciate it because that's you and your energy. So I think that is a small example of how we can improve our everyday communication.
100%.
Is asking yourself a question of the day. How would we answer that question?
Right. And I also
if we're presented.
I also think too, like,
if you get what I'm saying.
100%. Because
really
it is
point.
like, it's practice. Like any skill, communication is practice.
Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Podcash as a collaboration between Racket and Stir. Podcash gave away over $100,000 to up-and-coming podcasters as a way to support insanely creative and inspiring podcasters. We know how difficult it can be to get a podcast off the ground and running, but with Podcash, it's a great way to get cash, and best of all, it's all free for your podcast. So if podcasting has been on your to-do list or you're already a podcaster, go to podcash.com to stay up to date with future podcast happenings. That's again, podcash.com. PODCASH.com. I hope to see your future podcasts.
Hot take.
I feel like, actually, this probably isn't a hot take as much as it's just like an acknowledgement. I think probably one of my biggest faults earlier on, like in dating or when I was younger, is meeting men and immediately questioning like why they could not verbally communicate anything, right? Because I think instead of wanting to be, which is like fair, I don't want to be a teacher when I date. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a really tasking thing to put on a person. It's a lot of pressure to put on a relationship, right? Like it's all of a sudden when someone's a teacher and someone's a student, the dynamic shifts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it should be like a co-teaching experience. I completely agree. I would say one of the hardest things I've been learning to balance is like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I have been patient enough. I have crawled through cobblestone streets.
I tried to pick her up.
At this point, you did.
I tried so hard.
Yeah, it worked a little bit.
It did. I got you up.
Right, exactly, right. No, that's facts, though. But, like, I feel like I'm at a point in my life where you just get tired. Like, because I'm like, I've put in so much work. I put in years of work to get to a point where I can communicate to someone in a loving way.
Right.
I fought for that. And it's like to fight for that and to be in a relationship with someone. And I understand you have to be patient with anyone you date. There's a learning curve for everything. Like, but if you're repeatedly being a poor communicator, and I've communicated to you that you are a poor communicator,
Right.
and you're not really showing me that you're working on it, like you're just a bitch. Like you are, like you can't handle it.
Right.
Like it's about to be silent library. in here.
Period. Right. As it should be though.
Yeah.
Right. Like you started it. I don't know what you want me to do now.
I like how you ended your answer, because I was going to say, because like anyone that you do date, you're going to have some form of patience with them, just because we're humans. You're never going to meet someone that checks every single box perfectly.
That don't exist.
That perfection is a form of trauma. So that is something that I want to highlight.
I have.
Yeah. So so for my people that struggle,
it's hard to sit with, right?
Right.
Damn.
yeah.
I didn't know.
So no, because like you're gonna have to be patient with your partner. But like you said though, the key point of your last answer was it's the constant, consistent like conversations you're having with them. If you're having the same conversation over and over and over again, you're not getting what you wanted.
Right.
Your partner is clearly not showing and is not giving to you the way that you need to be.
Listen, that's not even love language. That's just like common decency.
Yeah.
Like if I have to repeat, listen, one of my pet peeves is if I have to repeat myself more than once, you have one time, and after that, bro, like it's fucking over. Like there's nothing else I can say, because at that point it's either you weren't listening, which is already a problem, or you listened and decided to not do the thing that I asked you to do, which I have voiced would better our relationship and therefore our connection, right? So for you to take that and not do anything with it, to me, is severely disrespectful, and also shows me that if I was to do this in the future, I'm probably going to get the same response.
I think me and Nimalah really have an interesting dynamic because we're like yin and yang. And Josh, I know you've observed this like in real time.
Oh
like,
my God.
Whenever I describe Nimalah to people, like I always say really good things, right? And one of the things that I admire most about her is that she really does not tolerate like being treated any less than what she is and what she deserves. Like she doesn't. And most people would be like, damn, like that one time chance that's harsh. But it's like, no, like in a world, there's a lot of people out there that will take advantage of you and hurt you, and they will take your vulnerability as weakness. And in my opinion, as someone who's on the opposite end of the spectrum, right, where I've been too patient, like I could have saved myself a lot of hurt, because a lot of times, like once or twice, like past that, like what the fuck were you doing the first two times? Like you weren't listening. So it's like, one thing I've always admired about Nimalah is that she avoids like a lot of that pain. She's like, I'm not even dealing with that. I'm not even dealing with the potential of you letting me down, because you don't have the opportunity to, because I'm like revoking access. Right. And that's something that I respect, like very much so, where I think like our friendship has a good balance, because I think I've taught Nimalah how to be more patient, and she's taught me how to be less patient.
I'm so sorry if you met me before I met Kyna. Holy shit. Listen, I genuinely fucking apologize. Like, deadass, like before Kyna, like if you think if I'm cold now, well, I would frozen. Like you frozen. Tell me shit. Like literally, like it would be like you looked at me wrong, and it was like an immediate like, nah, like we're not talking for like a smooth week. Like I don't know.
Not a smooth week.
You know what I'm saying? Like Kyna has definitely taught me like not only to be like patient, but to be patient without like resenting the person. You know what I'm saying? Which, as someone who was not taught to be patient, is incredibly hard to do. Because in my head, I'm like, well, you should know this already. So like, why am I wasting my time?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's such like a dangerous way to like engage in like any relationship, friendship, intimacy, like anything, because that resentment never, like I don't say it never goes away, but once it's there, like you really can't ignore it. Like it only grows and grows and grows. It really is just like a shadow that just like keeps lengthening, keeps taking everything out.
Yeah. So you have like these two ends of the spectrum, like you guys said. So it's like you have one that's like you can't be too giving and too patient with your partners, or else they'll walk all over you. But then on the other side, you can't be too cold and reserved to like where it's like your partner has to go above and beyond to try and break down those walls. So it's like you got to find that balance. Right. And that is something where I think a lot of people struggle with, because I've known a lot of people that give way too much and don't receive anything in return. I've also met some people that don't communicate anything and just like have that closed reservedness, and then they don't have that emotional connection that they crave, because we all need that emotional connection at some point, because we are humans. That's one of our needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of my favorite theories I've learned in psychology. You have basic needs like security, food. Once that's met, then it's like the need of like acceptance, like feeling like you belong in a group, because that's what makes us live longer, is being with people that we feel safe, secure, and that can bring us comfort, and we feel secure and we feel like heard around them. There was a study actually, it was a bunch of Italians, so they ate, I know, terrible preference, I'm so sorry.
Interesting group of people.
Sorry. No. So what happened was, these people, Italians, they ate a bunch of fatty foods, they smoked every day, like they did everything that was unhealthy. and they all lived until they were over 100 years old. You know what was the secret? They stayed together as a family. There was no like traumatic events. Like these people all accepted each other for themselves. That's the power of human connection.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
If you find your group, you will live longer because you have that it's the power of the brain. So that like I heard those two studies and I was just like, I wanted to highlight that to this conversation because it's like that. And like we're gonna have to, we can't be too closed off and we can't be too giving.
Right.
We got to find that balance, and then we'll find the people that accept us for who we are, and then we're able to grow, feel more comfortable, take the next steps. And that's something that's so important at the end of the day.
I also think that study really shows how, like, you know, to all my haters out there who keep telling me to quit smoking.
No, I'm gonna rock your shit.
No. I'm not saying. Obviously,
I am.
Take care of yourself, people. Okay.
Right. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
Extracting the wrong moral of the story.
Take care of yourself, people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Take care of yourself, people. Listen to your bodies. If smoking is killing you, stop it.
Yeah.
But find that's the importance of finding your group. And for a lot of people, I always tell people, they have to realize it's not their local community where they're going to find their people. For some people, they need to branch out. Some people, they need to connect. For some people, it might be in another country. For some people, it might be in other states, you know? Like, and that's only a feeling that you are going to understand because you feel it in your body, you feel it in your soul.
Right.
Like when and
that resonates differently for everybody. So like for me, one of my most powerful trips was going not only to the DR but also going to Virginia, just because those two places distinctively I felt something greater in my soul. Like I felt way more relaxed. I felt more just like a connection that it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like for me, that's for somebody else that's going to be something completely different.
Right.
But that's what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. It's like you'll find your people, but you have to be able to branch out and expand because it's not always going to be in your local community. It's just not.
No, that's such a good point because I feel like a lot of people really think they're like, they do not want to go outside of that, like who I grew up around or my family or this and that. And I'm like, there are so many people in the world. Like, there are so many wonderful people in the world, too. Again, you have to really embrace, like, you have to be like a fluid being moving through this earth. Because if not, you shut yourself out to, like, the pure joy of human connection and all the things that you can learn about yourself. Like, there's so many different people. And with each person, like, you will learn different things about them and yourself and about life. You know, you meet someone in a different country and they teach you about the history of that city because they know stuff. All of a sudden you have new knowledge about that city. Like, I feel like it is so important to treat your brain like a sponge and just soak it all in and really, really understand that this person is teaching you something and you're also there to teach them something.
Yeah, and I think just to add to your point, like it can be shown in many different ways. Like for me, with this podcast, connecting with people, that has helped me sort of learn a lot of other people's perspectives and like learn so much new information because I have not had the luck of being able to leave. I left the country once, Dominican Republic. Me and Nimalah had a wonderful time. That was my first time in all of my 24 years of living that I actually left the country. Yeah, like the farthest place for me where I went was Florida, and that's just because everybody in Delaware around that area, what is it, the mid-Atlantic area, around there, tri-state area, that's what I was thinking. That's where they go for like retirement.
That's literally where everyone
goes. That's where everyone goes.
I don't blame them. They have good mangoes.
But yeah, that's just an example though of just how like there's ways and there's so many forms that you can like branch out and meet people. It can be online, it can be, but it's like you said, Kyna, they give you that new perspective. I know astrology for me, obviously, this whole podcast is me finding my spirituality, has really helped me discover new things about myself. How has astrology helped you guys discover things about yourself that you didn't even realize?
I feel like So I feel like everyone is a spiritual being, right? And like I was born and raised in a very spiritual environment and culture where that was just the way of life and the way of thinking. Like the living and non-living world, there was no difference. There was no such thing, you know, like spirits were all among us, and there is deities and energies, and all the metaphysical is here, you know, and there is so much more than the human perception, because I feel like the human ego is so large that we only think, I don't want to say we because like I don't relate to you guys,
yeah,
right,
yeah, I gotcha.
The people who think that what only exists is what we can tangibly see, feel, hear. The human perception is very limited, and so there's so much we don't know. And I've been really grateful to kind of grow up already having that perception. I've never had to find it. It's just been my world. But I feel like astrology and kind of getting deeper into it growing up allowed me to better understand myself with my natal chart, because I always knew I was like a dictionary definition of a Scorpio. Like my mom made it a point to really bully me for it. Like
not
for
getting bullied.
If she's a Gemini, of course. And
Right.
but understanding that there's so many dynamics, like one, it's taught me the complexity of like the universe and the stars. Like the cosmos are so complex, and they have systems and mathematics that are beyond our reach. Like it's a great phenomenon. And it's also taught me that we are all interconnected with the universe and like the greater cosmos, you know, we are one with them, and we are influenced by that. So it's kind of allowed me to see the interconnectedness of life itself, whatever that is, like human life, animals, spirits, ancestors who have already crossed over. Like it's all connected.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nimalah, how do you feel?
I don't know, I think it's definitely given me like a lot more like power in a sense, like power in like the way of not only like knowledge and like we've said, like having your mind be a sponge and potentially like push yourself to understand that like yes, like there are other forms of like I don't want to say spirituality, it sounds so like bleh, but like there's just so many different ways to understand the world in this universe, and it's definitely a possibility that astrology is one of those ways. And it's definitely allowed me to connect better with myself, like almost understand like my own temperament for like certain things. And also like almost understand like why I interact with people so differently. Like I'm a very like, not like hot and cold, but I can be very hot and cold. Yeah, can you just give me a middle look? So I'm pretty hot and cold.
My eyebrows just raised.
So I'm very like quick to be like I don't know. Like I think astrology has kind of allowed me to understand like why I'm so skeptical of certain people versus why I'm so like willing to get to know others.
Yeah.
But also in a greater sense, like it's allowed me to feel like a connection with family members that have passed. I think that that's probably been like my biggest transformation, is that it's allowed me to feel so like guarded and protected by people who are no longer here. Because I think that in death there's not only like a sense of loss, but a sense of like protection, right? Like when you lose like elders, people that have taught you lessons, people that have taught you like almost like grown, like have like molded you into the person you are. When they pass, you now feel like, oh, like I stopped growing because this person isn't here. And I think feeling that connection now allows me to feel like I still have their influence every single day. You know what I'm saying? And I think that idea was there before, but now because it's physically present in like my spirituality and in my practice, I feel like a much greater closeness to them, even though they are like no longer physically here.
Have you guys heard about Anchor by Spotify as being the easiest way to make a podcast? Let me explain. It's free. Anchor has creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Best of all, when even hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, like I said before, Anchor is totally free. So pick up your phones, laptops, or whatever you use and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I hope to hear your podcast. I think spirituality, though, I'd like to start off with astrology, but there's so many different forms of it. Like, we all connect and resonate differently based off of everything. I know, like, I forget the test. We talked about this years ago, but Kyna mentioned a long time ago that there's like a test that you can take to like this, like for some people you're into tarot card readings like that.
Yeah,
that's what you feel more.
about.
For me, it was like I got Reiki and also like chart readings. But like we all have different forms of like spirituality that we feel and it resonates to us.
Definitely.
So like I know rituals are something that you guys really enjoy doing. For me, I'm not into rituals. I'm into more.
You have a skincare routine?
I do have skincare.
I'm like, that is a ritual.
Yeah, that is a ritual.
Shit is right.
I'm a very believer in manifestation. Every new moon, I started this past month. I'm doing a manifestation live stream where like we do some like positive things every new moon. So
that's so
full moon is this week, so new moon is in 2 more weeks. Sorry, in my own head. Sorry, I was processing.
I'm ruining my day by saying the full moon. I'm
That makes so much sense.
It's in the full moon's in Pisces. So I did a whole Instagram post, but it's just an emotional check-in.
We have some issues with Pisces.
Well, no.
That's great.
Oh God.
No offense. Sure.
When Pisces are good, they're very in tune and they're very good at creativity, imagination.
They're mad people pleasers. Everyone I've met is a
yes.
I'm not saying that's an insult. It's actually a really great quality to have when you are emotionally in tune. However, when you are not emotionally in tune, it can kind of turn into like your entire personality.
Yeah, right. I do agree with that.
Thank you.
One of the things I have noticed though with Pisces is like one of my best friends, Kyla, shout out Kyla. She's a Pisces, right? And I'm a Scorpio with a Cancer moon. She's a Pisces with a Scorpio moon. And one of the things I noticed off the rip with her, like I met her and instantly like we just like vibe, like we connected. And I feel like with us, like we literally move like water. Like we've talked about
places
this before.
With them is fucking like you think I'm bad with errands, bro. You're for the day, like full 20. Not even. It doesn't even end when you go home.
Right.
Like you're like when they're together, they're together.
Right. Like it's like a full day. Like we just really move in sync and together, and it's not even like. We don't have to talk, and some days we don't have to try. It's just something that's always been. But our conversations have always been really good. Like
no cap, it is like a really recharging experience to be with them. Like it really is.
It's like really like she definitely is always been very emotionally intelligent in the way that like she can talk about emotions for long periods of time, and we can go in depth and dissect it. And like from the first day I met her, I felt connected to her in that way. And like our dynamic, like we're so watery and so in tune. And I feel like when we chill, we create this like own inner world. And it's just like us, like it's like us, and we're like, these other people don't understand, and we just like move and vibe.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it's crazy though, but like I do appreciate a water sign for sure.
I'm learning to appreciate them more. I'm like around them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I don't know, remember Scorpios signs or not.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that makes mad sense.
Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are water.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say because like some of the people that are very important in both you and my life do have Pisces moons. So like it's just Pisces are very gentle, kind.
Pisces moon.
My
Ty. You're a Ty?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's just like that's just an example though. So that's the moon that's coming. It's coming September 10th, 9th or 10th, depending on where you are in the world.
Yes.
No, but no. It is Pisces. It's
the background comment.
Yeah. No. So I know, I understand. Obviously, like we all feel different emotions depending on the moon because we all have different elements and parts to our chart.
I'm not with the moon on that.
Yeah.
I'm not acknowledging the moon.
But with this Pisces moon, it's just an emotional check-in. So right now there's a lot of craziness going on. Like Mercury in retrograde is going to be starting tomorrow. Obviously, Jupiter's been in retrograde. Saturn's been in retrograde. Uranus has been in retrograde. So there's been a lot of stuff that has been happening. So this is like a good emotional check-in to see the path and the work that you've already put in so far, and like how are you feeling about it now? So this is a very just like chill. It's supposed to be like a more chill type of energy we're gonna feel.
And maybe this might be a stigma with water signs, but it's kind of like the second I figure out or realize or discover that someone's a water sign, immediately I feel like they're just gonna start crying, and I don't. And I really think it's prejudice. I do.
That's not nice.
I think it's prejudice. I do.
I have made an argument on one of my podcasts that Leo placements are actually more emotional.
Way more temperament.
Way more emotional.
I can't say anything about temperament.
Way more emotional than
so much
water
more.
signs.
They're so reactive and just
feel like they're
sensing.
saying this
because their ego is so high.
Yeah.
So the second you bruise their ego, they're like, wah. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm crying over something that matters. My ego is important. It's not important. Whatever you're feeling,
like
right?
water signs actually have like the largest capacity for emotions. Like
maybe
what would make other people like break, like conversations that would make other people like break down in tears and like really kill themselves. Water signs will have that like in a car ride to Target. Like,
and this is
I
think she's right, because it's kind of like a cup. You know what I'm saying? Like I can only handle like a little bit of emotion at a time. You know what I'm saying? I'm really like, it has to be in increments. Kyna and Kyla, when they're together, bro, like I need like 5 cups to get through the night. I'm like, I can't.
We're like rivers,
right?
It
just comes out, which I appreciate. I'm learning to appreciate now, right? But I think like at first you're like, whoa, like we're talking about everything. We're talking about everything. We're talking about everything right now. You know what I'm saying? Which is like honestly like again like a really recharging experience, because like you two do create like a really safe space.
Yeah, I feel like too, it's allowed me to be a better friend, because like I always explain it to people. I feel like I'm the friend that people go to when they need to talk about something, like when they need advice or when they need to share something that like other people don't know. I feel like people go to me. Right. And I feel like it's because I have such a large capacity for emotions. Like I could talk about emotions forever and ever and ever, because I see emotions as like strength, and emotions give you wisdom. A lot of people, they talk about emotions for 5 minutes. They're like, I'm done for the fucking week.
I need to sleep.
or they feel drained. Yeah, they feel drained. I feel recharged after talking about emotions, because emotions are part of like the human experience.
I'm definitely starting to get there. Like even like this weekend, right? Like when we went to Philly to go see my bestie, shout out besties, hey, we spent like the whole weekend together, and it was like so recharging. And like I realized it was almost because like there were so many emotions. I was around like mad Scorpios, so maybe that might have been a factor. I do love them, but like part of like, and I think this also like kind of ties back to like finding your people, right? Like your people, I realized like almost like no matter how emotional they get, are going to recharge you. You know what I'm saying?
That's such a good point.
It really doesn't matter. I don't care if we're crying, if we're fighting, if we're mad. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Fighting.
Like we can really fight. I don't go fight. You know what I'm saying? And I did get in a fight. I did get in a fight with Sai. I love you, Sai. Not a real fight,
For
but
real?
not a real one. It was where I was like, I want you better for you. It was like one of those, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even at the end of it, I was like, I kind of like this. Like, I miss the emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I miss those people and their emotions. And I was trying to realize where it's like, if you really love the person, like it doesn't really matter it doesn't matter what emotions they have.
That is such a good point.
Like as long as you're feeling it, it's okay.
That is actually such a good point, because that made me really reflect on like the interactions in my life and like past relationships too. Like, like I think it's a big red flag when you want to talk to someone about your emotions and how you feel, and they either like twist how you feel to make you feel like guilty for feeling how you feel, or they're like, I can't talk about this right now. I don't have that. And I'm like, if you love someone, like when I love someone, I'm down to talk about whatever. Yeah. Like nothing is like, I'm down to talk about whatever. Like the emotions are part of you, and I love you. They're just an extension of you. Sometimes if I'm like physically actually tired, okay, it's time to go to bed. But like Nimalah made a really good point where it's like the people you love, they just naturally recharge you because it's their energy, their presence.
It doesn't matter.
And you said the same thing, Josh, when you were like, no matter what, mood Nimalah's in, even when she's tired from work, when she walks in, she brings like that energy and it's vibrant. And that's like what love is. So I think it's a huge red flag when someone's like, oh, I can't talk about this right now, or I don't want to talk about this. Like they shut you down every time you try to talk about feelings.
Right.
I completely agree. Just a couple comments that while you guys were talking about emotions. So Bree.
Hi, babe. I hope you're doing well. I miss you so
that's
much.
so nice.
I love
Yeah,
her.
yeah. So she said yes. Emotions give strength, and she said yes with like 5 S's. So she was like, yeah,
Yes.
Big Chief just keeps commenting. He said you're doing the right thing. You're surrounding yourself with some smart women, intelligent women. So he's killing it.
Always.
Men, take notes. It's important. Women will change your life.
right.
Okay?
Definitely, I will say that you gotta be able to listen.
Hate
And
to admit it.
Yeah.
Literally, I saw this on
it's a matter of pride. That's
I
all.
saw
it
this
is.
on Instagram. A dude was like, "You don't realize how crazy your life is until you live with a woman." They were like, "The way your life will change." He was like, "There's always cookies in the fridge. Shit is always clean.
Right.
Like you come home and you're like relaxed." I was like,
You don't have a 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, body wash, or whatever y'all
ladies,
use.
that's a fucking red flag.
That's disgusting.
Like, that's out of pocket.
Well, facts, though.
I know we just completely we started with what did we start with?
I don't know.
Astrology, and then we just went
To baby.
So sorry. We did go to bathing.
No, it's all good. So rituals. I know you guys have had moments where you guys do rituals. I know it's a little bit off what we've been talking about. When do you guys know it's a good time to like do a ritual?
When you're level-headed, when you feel clear-headed, because it's not, rituals can be very powerful, you know, and you have to channel, like, with a ritual, I view rituals, there's levels to it. So I feel like my self-care is a daily ritual, and I feel like that's
100%.
sacred. Like how I take care of my hair is everything. Like I oil my scalp like once every 3 days, massage it, then I wash it out, and then I oil my ends. Like I keep my hair very healthy, very long, all times. And that to me is like sacred. That is like my power, my hair and my skin and like my beauty, right? Like I take pride in that.
Right.
And so that's like a daily ritual. But when it comes to like rituals, like for example, like you could do one on your birthday, you could do one on a full moon, you could do one on a specific
You gotta
date.
be careful.
You have to be careful because you're harnessing a certain type of powerful energy, and you have to be ready for that. You have to ask yourself, what am I asking for? What am I trying to manifest? And be specific. And what does that look like?
Right.
You know, like if you were to dream it up, what does it look like? And I feel like the best time to do a ritual is when you are very clear-headed and you are not driven by like these intense hysterical emotions.
You need clear intentions, like, because the things that you're calling upon are things that have like real repercussions.
Yeah.
Like, listen, a spell can go wrong at a high sec. I'm gonna call it what it is. It's a spell, it's a ritual, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I do use the two interchangeably.
Yeah.
But those things are like very important, and I am a firm believer in that. Like your words do carry weight.
Yeah, words cast spells.
They're very important. Again, words of affirmation.
Josh,
you know what I'm saying?
you would find this interesting, but I was reading about this astrology thing, and I was reading that people with Scorpio placements or like 8th house placements, like people with heavy Scorpio influence in their chart have to be really fucking careful about what they say.
They do.
Because like they'll really like their karma, like they'll like speak someone's karma. Like
I'm so
they'll
sorry.
really like talk out someone's like downfall. And I've noticed that's like happened to like a lot of my friends, like boyfriends or my friends'
To her
parents.
exes, it's to her exes. She's trying to lie.
No.
Listen, she lying right
Dang,
now.
don't call her
Your
out,
Honor,
dang.
She is lying.
Dang, don't call her out on the podcast.
And like
Listen,
my
Not mid-answer.
my no for real, no
Damn
shit.
it.
It's okay. I can, but like my best friend Kaylin told me, and she was like, "Yo, Kyna, like I honestly wouldn't cross you. Like you scare me for real because like she was like, you really said this was gonna happen and that happened and this happened. Like I'm just like, yeah, but I do the opposite where like I feel like I speak a lot of blessings over people, like especially the people I love. Like I feel like I'm constantly sending like pouring out like blessings to the people I love.
That's low-key a vibe check for me, like especially with you. Like if Kyna ever stops like blessing you, wishing good on you, like honestly for me, like it's on sight. Like
Fear. You should feel fear.
You should fear not only like me or her, but whatever fucking ancestor she has backing her. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like Kyna is probably one of the most powerful women I've ever met.
Oh my God,
Right?
stop.
Just like spiritually. Her and Brie, like it is insanity to me. Like Brie and Kyna have probably been
Hi.
the two most important influential women that have allowed me to express myself spiritually and not feel like judged, stigmatized, like have given me such a safe space. So I feel like at this point, Kyna, honestly, like if there's ever a point where Kyna's like, the vibe's off, I don't like them, this is weird, I have to vibe, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's kind of like a rider thing at that point.
And Nimalah's taught me that, like, she has taught me, because I've been through a lot of stuff that has made me question my own, like, power and my own, I guess, like, intuition. And Nimalah was, like, the one to really teach me, like, oh, no, you're right. Like, she was the one to say that. Like, she's like, you're right. Like, what you're feeling is true. Like, your perception of things is true. Because, like, I have dated specifically, like, men in the past who have, like, taken advantage of me or manipulated how I feel in my words, because I am, like, a very sensitive, like, soul. Like, I'm emotionally very sensitive. And, you know, now, like, I've gone to a point of growth where, like, if there's someone new, like, you know, like, Nimalah will be the first one to be like, oh, yes or no. And she's, like, always right. And she always teaches me to, like, trust myself too, because she's like, no, you should trust yourself first. Like, you are the most, like, important opinion, you know?
Definitely. And I will say that was very beautiful, man. You guys are sharing your love, spreading the love. I know Bree hearted it on the chat.
Good.
It's important to find people that allow you, if you are trying to learn new things, especially discovering spirituality, to give you a safe space where you guys can express that, because there's going to be mistakes along the way. Like, let's say you do a ritual and you mess up, like, that's okay. Like, it's all we all have to learn, you know? So finding those people is so important. And like we've all said, you know when you know. Like, you'll find you have that connection, you know, instantly right away. Or do they make you feel safe and secure? Once you find these people, again, powerful stuff that Nimalah said, powerful stuff that Kyna said as well, by just how they met each other, you know, and just the importance of how one person can have on your life is so important. But before we wrap everything up, this one's just for fun, obviously. Mercury in retrograde is going to happen tomorrow. I just want to give you guys, a little announcement. It starts on the 9th. Obviously, it's my little sister's birthday, so I feel bad. Her birthday starts
that makes so much
on
sense.
retrograde. Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
So the dates, I'm just checking. So it starts the 9th, and it's going to go all the way up to the beginning of October.
In 2025.
No. So, and the Mercury's in Libra. So Libra's all about finding that balance. So this is going to be we're going to question that when it comes to things that help us find our balance. You know, we're going to really try and find that balance. And it makes sense because there's so much stuff that is currently in retrograde now. Yeah. Adding Mercury to retrograde is just going to just add to all the energies that we are already feeling.
Right.
So our balance is going to be thrown off, whether that's career, relationship. So just be very patient. This is a great time to reflect on a lot of stuff.
And careful too, because every retrograde, like, technological issues are more likely to pop up. Just setbacks, like accidents, like car accidents, like inconveniences that you wouldn't think of, like just shit going wrong throughout your day. Like, just be extra careful, like leave for work earlier. Like, I'm adding myself with that because every day I'm late to something.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because my car randomly got hit earlier this week. Yeah. So it's like this week. We're in
the pre-shadow Mercury retrograde.
Yes. Yeah, and this week has just been just a complete, just adjusting.
Like, weird stuff has been happening all week where it's like just shit is not going right. It's like not big events, but it's like small shit that adds up.
I was inconvenienced like 4 times in a row the other day. And you know when Facts. Like it's just weird small things that amount to like wanting to scream.
Yes.
Like that, where I was like, honestly, if one more thing goes wrong, I'm probably gonna kill someone.
Yes, that happened to me so many times. I'm
probably gonna just start throwing hands at this point. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be cussing out loud at work. I'll be like, "What the fuck?" Like,
definitely.
All on my face, all of it.
So I will say, when it comes to the recording part of this podcast, we'll see how we're feeling, if we want to stay on in other platforms, stay live or whatever.
Sure.
But when it comes to the recording for this podcast, it will be recorded tomorrow. So I'll make sure to post it up so you guys can check it out. For anybody that missed this wonderful, deep conversation that we've had here. Nimalah, Kyna, it's been awesome talking to you guys. Do you guys want to share your social media? Where can people check out your guys? If you want to share it, if not, you can just say yes or no. But
I'm chilling. If you know me, you know me. So I'm
Sorry. If you know me, you see me.
All right, that's fine.
If you do know me, like, I don't know if that means you follow me.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, sounds good to me. So Nimalah and Kyna, if you guys want to find them, just you'll feel their energy and you just follow them.
I said that to a man at the bar at the Jamaican club. I was like, if the universe brings us together, we will be together. In my head, I was like,
I'm gonna avoid
I'm gonna lock your number. Yo, he looked at me crazy. He was like, you mean I have to come to this club next weekend too? And I was like, well, you don't have to do that, but if we happen to meet at the club again, I literally made it like a spiritual excuse, and he was looking at me crazy, like he bought me another drink too. I was like, oh my god.
You're like, now she's falling in love.
Right.
You're in love with the mess.
In love with the mess.
I will say cheers to 1 year of the podcast. Thank you, you two again.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Josh,
Thank you.
We love you.
Yes, we love you very much. Thank you for having us, of course.